and the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me and hopefully interest you. And we got a banner week of toy news this week. A lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to dive into. But first, got to thank the sponsor of the toy news this week. It is our old friends over there at jaystoysandgames.com. Use discount code Kyle, save yourself 15%. A lot of new stuff in stock. Check out their new arrivals. Save 15%, cheaper than retail in a lot of instances there. I did pick up a bunch of stuff earlier today. You'll see that in weekly purchases tomorrow. Check out jaystoysandgames.com. Tell them Kyle sent you and use the Kyle code to save yourself 15%. Got to thank them for, of course, sponsoring Toy News weekly purchases this week. And, of course, this week, a lot going on. A lot going on the Patreon. Just announced the winner of the giveaway for the month of May. New giveaway this month for June. We got the Evolution Pack and the Maya Via pack. We're going to give away both of these to one of the Patreon members. So check out the Patreon. Of course, on top of the giveaway chances, you get early access to all the videos from both of my YouTube channels. Tons of content every single day. You also get all the glamour shots, all the action figure photography over there. Check it out if you have not over there on Patreon YouTube channel membership. Truly the best way to support the channel and all the work that goes into it each and every single day. And also on the Patreon and YouTube channel memberships right now, you can watch the upcoming Tuesday video of The Kyle Peterson Show, my weekly podcast, wherever podcasts are found, with video cast on YouTube. This week, we celebrate my wife's birthday, Angie's birthday, this Tuesday, the 10th. So check that out. A lot of other stories, of course, and a little bit of a deeper dive over there this week, as I was at Des Moines Con this week. So shout out to everybody I saw at Des Moines Con. I was part of the action figure panel there. A very good turnout for that. A lot of good questions, a lot of good talk, a lot of good discussion on that panel. You can see some of it in my Toy Hunt video this week. Go over to Dave Wheeler, of course, good friend of the channel. Check out his YouTube channel, old Dave Wonder himself, and you can see the whole panel if you want to see that. But we talk about that in the podcast a little bit. And Angie gives her experiences, her first ever con. All these years we've been together, she's never went to one of these. She finally did go, and you'll hear a little bit about her experience as well. So check out the podcast if you've not checked it out already. But now it's time to dive into the toy news. There's a lot going on this week. So let's start it off. Let's start off with some wrestling. How about John Cena? Is it the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive? Is it not? I'm not exactly sure. I think last year, the last 2 years, I already had heard, and we have already heard what was going on. The time frame fits. It was always the end of May, early June is when those things would leak out. Sounds like this might be it. To me, it's a little bit disappointing, but I put my business hat on. I understand what's going on. We said it about 8 months ago on the channel. It's going to be the year of John Cena on TV in the WWE, but also action figures. We're seeing all these elite lines with the exclusive John Cena figures. We're seeing a bunch of different John Cena stuff. This makes sense, of course. John Cena's final year, I could see him being the San Diego Comic-Con in a throwback packaging. This does really smell like a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Personally, I'd like something different, but it does make sense. We'll see what ends up happening there, but very cool looking. Not a lot new with this one here as far as head sculpts and stuff, but it's another Cena. Cena is a popular performer. Makes a lot of sense. We'll see where it all ends up going there, but you guys have probably seen all the pictures by now. We did hear there was going to be a June 6th release on Mattel Creations. That was canceled. Not sure exactly where that's going to go or what's up with that, but now we have one on June 12th. It is the Ultimate ECW CM Punk, a must-have in the collection. Can't wait for that. So a week from now, give or take a day or two, depending when you're watching this, that'll be available on Mattel Creations, so get your CM Punk Ultimate Edition over there. And last but not least, for WWE Mattel news this week, Penta was shown off. There was some expo down in Mexico. They showed off his brand new main event figure. We'll see how that goes. Of course, we've seen Mattel do that a lot of time. First time in the line, main event style. Second one's maybe an ultimate or an elite. Rinse and repeat on that. Have to think Ray Phoenix will be behind him a couple of months as well. I'm sure we'll see that at San Diego Comic-Con. But Penta, his first figure, looks to be a main event style figure. Have to imagine going to be expensive right off the gate and hard to find right off the gate. That's the way it works. Even though we had AEW figures, as we do know, we reviewed them all here on the channel. But Penta coming hot to the Mattel line, even more at San Diego Comic-Con on him as well. We also saw this week outside of Mattel, very interesting, not toys, but more game style on this one here, but it is the WrestleFest arcade unit, an all-timer video game, one of the greatest wrestling games of all time. As a little kid playing that one in like Pizza Huts and stuff, hours and hours of fun. Looks like we're going to have those as far as home entertainment. You could buy it very similar to the 1-Up arcades, which I have many of those in my collection. I am definitely going to have to get this WrestleFest. I just, fingers crossed, it's not too expensive. It's not like $500, $800, $1,000. Would love to see this at like $399. More details, I guess, as we get it. And speaking of details, who's ready for a Power Town update?
Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering?
I'm just kidding. You guys know the drill by now. There's no update. They don't even update their website, but things are supposed to be coming in the summer. Going to be very interested to see how it nets down. Now, it'll be interesting, and I would assume, but we all know what happens when you assume. We all know this. But I would think the Remco, the Ultra Series 2, and TNA are all going to come at the exact same time. They're all going to come right at once because they're all been delayed. They've all been building up. They're waiting in the weeds for the tariffs. Of course, the tariffs, Todd McFarlane. I get it by now. So does that one guy we talked about on the channel. He didn't like the tariffs. And I said, it's Todd McFarlane, not me. But we do know they're all coming eventually. I guess we don't know for sure. Hopefully they're coming. But they did say summer, and I've heard a lot of chatter once again. It's summer, it's June. Well, it's not officially summer. So you get to see at Power Town or any of these companies say, well, summer's not official till the 22nd of June or whatever. I'm not holding my breath. Now, the tariffs have been up and down, definitely smoothed out a little bit more than the height of insanity a month ago, 6 weeks ago. What is time? No comments since then from Power Town. So I have no idea what's going on there. However, one thing we do know here on this channel is that I'm on top of this, and I have been working around the clock with my crack team. And yes, Todd McFarlane, you weren't included in this. Mark Summers, you were not as either. I had to do this on my own with some special skilled people. Think of us like the A-team is what I would say. I brought Lemmy on board. I brought, of course, Governor Ventura. If anybody's going to get down to a conspiracy, it's going to be him. I, of course, was there as well. And then, of course, you have to have the Ultimate Warrior. Technically the ghost of the Ultimate Warrior, but he showed up for a while. Same thing with Lemmy. I know. But we're working on that. But in a plot twist, I posted the picture and the offer started coming in. So I'm going to start capitalizing on this Power Town movement. And I have been offered my own animated series. Yes, it's true. It's going to be AI driven. We're going to have some voice artists in there. We're in early talks with Karrion Kross to do the Jesse Ventura voice in the series. It's going to be amazing, but it is the Power Town animated series starring yours truly. It's going to be very interesting. So more to come on that as we get it. Christopher Rogers, good friend of the channel. He knows all about this. Shout out to him as well. But very excited for this Power Town series. Sometimes in the greatest, the darkest depths. You know, it's, what was that quote from the Transformers movie? When the darkest light, you know, the light comes in or something like that about the death of Optimus Prime. You know what I mean. That's where we're at with Power Town. We're at the darkest days right now, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I truly believe that. And I think this animated series will get us there a little quicker. So stay tuned for that. We're going to try to sign a TV deal, Todd McFarlane. I'm hoping to talk to you a little bit about that. A lot more to come, but that's the Power Town update. Really no update this week right there. But we do got updates from Big Rubber Guys. Once again, we got a new 4-pack of Big Rubber Guys coming this June. Shotzi Blackheart, Sean Mooney, The Genius, and Coco Beware. Of course, Beware. And I think the B stands for Brian, Todd McFarlane, you said. Coco Brian Ware, I believe, was his full name. Somebody fact check that if you want to. Mark Summers is on it already. But very excited for these, especially Coco and The Genius. Must-haves right there. Man, this Coco would be one of the greatest playability LJNs of all time if it was back in the day. Sean Mooney's fun, but it kind of is what it is. It's an announcer. It's like the Vince McMahon back in the day, but fun enough. I'm here for it. And Shotzi doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it, but they're trying to move on to other things. And there was some good discussion this week on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. Check them out. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but they talked a little bit about, you know, their partnership with AEW, about the possibilities of some Big Rubber Guys of AEW talent. They brought up a Sting. Can you imagine a Surfer Sting in the Big Rubber Guys? Oh, I can't take it. I can't take it even talking about it. So very, very cool ideas coming from that Big Rubber Guy team. They're fans just like us. They know what people want. They're not going to dance around contracts. They're going to get down to it. And there's some possibilities with that Jazzwares partnership. Some pretty cool stuff. They also mentioned, I think, like Jim Ross. So they know the way to my heart. That's for sure. So we'll see what happens with that. But if you want any of those four, this is the month for a pre-order, and it's an expensive month. It's been breaking me. Of course, my wife's birthday. We talk about it, of course. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll talk about it a lot. It's her birthday, of course. But you got to pay for her birthday. Then you got my birthday. You got Father's Day, which I guess I don't pay for those things, but it's always weird when your money pays for your own gift. I don't know, semantics at the end of the day, but you got all that, and then I got all this crazy K-pop stuff at the end of the month, and then you take on that Mum-Ra, you take on the Beast Man on the Mondo. We'll talk about him in a second. It's shaping up to be an expensive month for me and probably you as well. Welcome summer. That's what we're saying there, but more on all that in the future. But now, how about we move over to Top Rope Collectibles, and this one stole my heart and never let go as well this week. They did announce coming to their Galoob style line, have to imagine 2026. It is Norman the Lunatic, and I'll never forget when I first found out about NWA WCW, there was old Norman in the front yard. Yeah, the front yard. No, the front row, of course, had a crush on woman. There was a lot of story about him. Then he became Trucker Norm. An interesting time. And of course, he later morphed into one Bastion Booger, but it looks like we're getting him in Galoob style. That's pretty fun, if you ask me. Have to imagine maybe we'll get a Kevin Sullivan in Galoob style down the road as well. We'll see where all that ends up going, but they did announce that with a little image, no figures, nothing yet, but stay tuned on that, I guess, in the future. We also saw the Jumpin' Bomb Angels back again. TRT Title Run toys showing those off again this week. We've talked a lot of them this last couple of weeks here on the channel, but it looks like the pre-order around the corner, one of 1,500 on that one there. We also saw Zombie Sailor toys. We talked about it last week, went up for order. The order is the order, already shipping out. It is Blue Trunks Ric Flair and Gladiator version of Mike Awesome, shipping right now. Go over to Zombie Sailor. I'm sure he has some left. Place your order if you need those. He also did show off his images of the Headhunters, which is very smart business practice on his end, using that Abdul of the body on the two twins, mixing some hands up, mixing the faces up, basically a repaint right there. That works pretty good. So I'm very excited for those Headhunters. And if you were a 90s tape trading kid, getting some of those IWA deathmatch stuff, some Puerto Rico stuff, you definitely know the Headhunters. I think they had a cup of coffee in ECW, and they also one-time appearance over there in the WWE way back when. So very excited to get those in the collection. Also very excited for KWK and the Berserker. 4 different versions of the Berserker. I think one is a J&J Figures exclusive, the other 3 from KWK. Very cool, as it does put a little nod to the past of the Berserker, as he was originally supposed to be in the Texas Tornado body style. He later got moved to the Hacksaw Jim Duggan. They're putting him back in that. So I think that is a very cool thing by KWK, but that is up for pre-order this month. Check it out. Pick that one up. A lot of good stuff coming out of KWK, and as a whole, a lot of good stuff coming from all these retro lines. They're really knocking it out of the park here. A lot of good figures coming our way. We unboxed a lot of grapplers and gimmicks this week. A lot of good stuff out of there. I always say it, constant learning, constant improvement. Heads and tails improvements on the packaging for grapplers and gimmicks. I was very impressed with that latest round of figures, and we got more on the way as well. So stay tuned for those unboxings on the channel. We also did see Mongo McMichael. Speaking of grapplers and gimmicks, we saw the full-on retro figure this week. Have to imagine pre-order coming up for that sooner rather than later. Very cool to see Mongo, especially with him just recently passing away. I'm here for some of those Mongo figures for sure. So that looked really good as well. And last but not least in wrestling, looking at my notes, I don't see anything else going on over here. Besides Bulletproof Studios, Macho Man Randy Savage ice cream bars. Now, once upon a time, you guys saw me do the review on the channel. The guy over there, Tony, he did send me a Hulk Hogan and an Ultimate Warrior ice cream bar. This week's podcast actually had the Ultimate Warrior one on the desk, so look for that little Easter egg. He's making officially licensed Macho Man ones. Ice cream bar with a sandwich, an ice cream sandwich, not real, obviously, but it will come with a trading card. Looks very, very cool. Definitely a cool thing, especially if you're a Macho Man collector. A lot of fun on those. But that's a lot of wrestling news this week. There was a lot going on, but there's even more news after that. Of course, it is the month of my birthday and my wife's birthday as well, as I keep saying. I keep repeating it. June 25th, mark your calendars. But it's also Yo-Joe June. And as Jerry Reed always says, all right, it's time to dive into G.I. Joe June, and they did do a stream. One of a few streams we're apparently going to see in the month of June. It is Yo-Joe June after all. But a lot of cool stuff shown off, a lot of stuff we saw before with some new stuff and a couple of Easter eggs for things future this month. But let's recap that stream real quick. Of course, Cold Slither box set is where they started off. You know I'm excited for that. We've already talked about that at length here on the channel, playing all the hits for me. The minute they announced the classified line, I said, I hope one day we get a San Diego Cold Slither set. This is playing all the hits. I am excited for this. I need 2 of these in my collection. I want 1 mint in box. I want 1 loose set. I love heavy metal. I love the Dreadnoks. I love G.I. Joe. This is playing all the hits right here. But the hits are going to continue, as this week there was the announcement at Brick by Brick, a venue I've heard of for years, going to get to see that because Cold Slither is performing a live concert. I cannot wait to see that one. Very, very excited for the Cold Slither concert. Going to be interesting how that all dials in. I believe that is Thursday night of San Diego Comic-Con week, so that is going to be a top priority for me to get there. I just hope it's not super hard to get a ticket or it sells out, that whole rigmarole, but very excited for the Cold Slither concert, so we'll see where that one goes. But then we dived into the figures, and we're slicing and dicing, of course. Not splicing like a young Alpine, but we're slicing. Slice and dice 2 members of the Ninja Force, which leads me to believe we'll get Chijabang, or how do you ever pronounce him? We'll get some of those guys in the future, maybe Mohawk Zartan. But I loved Slice and Dice as a kid. Loved them. Happy to see them in the classified as a 2-pack. Makes all the sense of the world to me. And they squared off a lot in my childhood playing days with one Budo, who we did talk about last week here on the channel. Very excited to get Budo. His first name's Kyle, so shout out to him for that. Never met a Kyle I didn't like, as another Kyle once told me. Love that idea for Budo. Can't wait for that deluxe figure in my collection. We also saw the MMS and Hawk. General Hawk, that is. Some could make the argument the true leader of G.I. Joe. I understand that argument. He's definitely above Duke. We can all agree on that. He's right there with Flint, but he's a more respectable leader than Duke is, that's for sure, as we all do know. But it's old school General Hawk. Different Hawk than what I think of in my brain, but very cool to put him with the MMS. I think that puts enough meat on the bone as a package and makes sense to me. So we'll see that coming around the corner. We also saw, once again, the Awe Striker and Crankcase, a very nostalgic vehicle for me. One of the first ever G.I. Joe vehicles I had as a little kid, and one of the worst stories of my kindergarten years we will share when we do unbox that once in the future. Ooh, I'm still worked up all these years later, and every time I see my uncle, he still brings up the story about Crankcase and the Awe Striker from my kindergarten days. Show and tell gone horribly wrong. More at 11, so we'll talk about that in the future. I also saw the police officer, firefighter next on deck. We've seen a lot of these different ones. The police officer coming. Once again, 2 skin tone colors. So basically you got to buy 2 of them if you're me. Going to pick that one up. But the police officer looked really good. Very excited for the next 2 packs. Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer. Oh, baby. I love Sergeant Slaughter figures. Always here for the Sarge. I love that it's a different look for Sarge than we historically usually get. So it feels different. There's enough meat on the bone here with it just being Sergeant Slaughter for me. Very excited to see that one. But one of my all-time favorite characters, of course, from the G.I. Joe movie, one of those guys who kicked a lot of butt in my playing days, it is, of course, Mercer. The Viper turned good. I just hate how short he is next to that Sergeant Slaughter. When did he shrink down? I guess I don't know what his height was, but man, he was a bigger dude in my playing days, at least in my imagination. But I'm very excited to get a Mercer in the collection, an all-timer if there ever was one. Very excited for that 2-pack. We also got some name reveals, and I'm sure we'll get some more of those later on this month. The Desert Scorpion, another all-timer in the late days of G.I. Joe collecting for me. I love that it came with that huge scorpion. That was always cool in my playing days. You know, they'd stick that scorpion and kill a Joe or something. Always fun. Never Flint, though, as we could imagine. We also saw the Steel Corp defense post. I guess that's probably going to be a little bit of a repaint there. So gotta get the most out of your molds. We know how that one goes. And then Emily left us with a little tease at the end of the stream talking about the upcoming HasLab. Now we know the Rattler is supposed to be shipping later this month. Perfect for Yojo June once again. But it also did give some hints and Stay Frosty. I think they were referencing, of course, the Van Halen song Once Upon a Time. But we are here looming at the next Hasbro Pulse exclusive, of course, HasLab. And it sounds like everything, it sounds like it's going to be the Snowcat. It sounds like it's going to be that. We'll see what happens. A favorite vehicle of mine as a kid. I would challenge them. Well, I don't know. Do I want to say this out loud, Todd McFarlane? I think it'd be really cool if they could get like a vehicle graphic kit. You know, no different than a real vehicle. You get it wrapped. You can get them wrapped. I think it should come with the sticker wrappings to make it the Tiger Force version if you wanted to. It could be a 2-in-1. Make people buy 2 HasLabs to get one of each. I don't know, but as a kid, I had the original Snowcat, and then I had the Tiger Force version. I love both of them. I love Frostbite. Have to imagine Frostbite's going to be a part of this as well. I don't know, would they give us another snow job? Could we get Iceberg? Oh, remember when Iceberg turned into a whale? Oh, man. Could we get the whale accessory? We could reenact that. That was always a fun one. I remember I had a toy like bathtub like killer whale, and I used that and I reenacted, and I had Iceberg turn into a killer whale in my playing days. So maybe we can reenact that with the HasLab. We'll see where it ends up going. Another good one would be Blizzard. He was another favorite of mine. So there's some meat on the bone right here. Could we get Blizzard? Could we get Iceberg? Could we get Frostbite? Ooh, sign me up. Sign me up. So we'll see. I think they're going to announce it sooner rather than later, before the end of the month. So we'll see where that ends up going. But that's it for the G.I. Joe news. Can't wait for the extra Joe news this month. And part of Yojo June once again. But now we got to bring it on home right here. How about a little NECA this week? San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Surfing Turtles. Got to get the most out of your molds. We know how that goes. But this is a cool one, and this feels like San Diego Comic-Con. Of course, you're out there on the ocean. It's summertime. This makes a lot of sense. It's one of those ones you don't have to have. Really the perfect convention exclusive. Obviously a 4-pack, going to be expensive. Probably $200, I have to imagine. But cool enough. I do like the looks of that. We also saw, once again, feeling a little bit of a theme here, those No Good Ben Cooper kids back in action, this time with the Tiki version of the Ben Cooper kid. I have to think that's an homage or an homage, Todd McFarlane. Have we ever decided which is which? Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But I think it's an homage to the Brady Bunch. I think that's what it is. The tiki around Greg's neck. If you were a kid watching reruns like I was, you know all about that special episode of the Brady Bunch. And then that's what it's going to be. It's going to be the Brady Bunch Ben Cooper kid for me. But look good. And more to come, I have to imagine. Got to get a Universal Monster exclusive, don't we? We'll see what next week brings. But it sounds like NECA is going to put the stuff up early on their website for you to pre-order. Love that. It saves me from having to carry all that stuff back from San Diego. So I'll definitely take part in that later on this month, of course. But of course, we're not done. Jada Toys. We saw Vega up for pre-order right now. Another classic character there. He was a Frenchie, wasn't he? Wasn't he a Frenchie? I believe he was. I think he was from France, Vega. But we'll get him in the collection. We also saw some teases out there of San Diego Comic-Con. Kind of like that fire suit, cold suit, whatever you want. Dalsum would shoot them with the flames, the yoga flame, and they'd turn all red. So we saw that. It'll be interesting to see what that ends up being. I don't know. Some people saying a Dalsum, some people saying M. Bison. I guess we'll stay tuned, but it looks like they'll have another San Diego Comic-Con exclusive this year. And then this week was very expensive if you're a Mondo collector. Did you buy the Mumra yet? I'm waiting till the last day, or at least trying to. But then Mondo Beastman went up this week. Of course, the more cartoon filmation style Beastman. And that original Beastman from this line, absolutely amazing. This one looks good too. Not as good as the last one, but still looks really good. Limited to 1,000, so I knew I had to jump in there. So I did get the pre-order in on the Mondo Beastman. So the expensive month continues, of course. Mumra looming, and then Friday, what do they show an image of? I'm sure we'll see it next week. It is Carnage from the Spider-Man animated series. I got Spidey, I got Venom. I feel like I need Carnage, but I got to cut it off right there. I got to cut it. I can't get Carnage no matter how bad I want to. I got to cut back on that. So we'll see. Getting really expensive in this Mondo game, as you guys know, and even getting more expensive. And I'm sure more at San Diego Comic-Con to come. I think it was announced last year about that time, but it is He-Man 2000X. We saw a little bit more of that at Monsterama or something, whatever it was last week, the show they were at. That He-Man looks really, really good. I just don't want to pay $100 or more for a 7-inch scale figure. I passed on the Ghostbusters. It was hard to do. I really wanted part of that. I might have to do the same thing on this He-Man. We'll see what happens, though, in the future. Should know in a couple of weeks. But we're not done with He-Man. Blade, the Masterverse figure, which was shown off months ago. We even saw him at San Diego Comic-Con, and we knew it was coming. Well, it did go up for pre-order, and I should have it, I think, tomorrow in my collection. So, Blade from the Masterverse, building out some of that movie universe of He-Man. I'm here for that as well. And then Infinite Legions announced, by the time you're watching this, the announcement's already out there. Friday night, they announced a new Legion line from the Horsemen, Infinite Legions. Have no idea what that's going to be, so we'll have to circle around next week. If it is interesting, if it is, some more of that Legion life. But that Legion life's expensive. It's like that Mondo life. We can't all afford this stuff. You know, you got to cut bait somewhere. We'll see what this line does bring, but you can only collect so much. I say it all the time. That's why you got to have the so hard to say goodbyes every once in a while. We'll see, but Infinite Legions around the corner. And Todd McFarlane, extra quiet over there. I'm hearing some rumblings in the background. You promised me not to say anything yet, but I think there's a lot of stuff you're gearing up for, it sounds like. I won't give too much away, Todd, but I think we're going to see a lot of stuff. And if you paid attention to my thoughts on the licensing and stuff, I think some of the stuff I've been saying will be coming to fruition sooner rather than later. But Todd, as of right now, zipped up and got his socks off still, though, of course. So a lot to come from Mr. McFarlane in the future, and we'll be ready for it, of course. But of course, that is the toy news this week. Nothing else to really talk about. A lot of stuff. I don't know how I got through this whole video. Just rapid fire, rapid fire. That's what we're doing over here. But a lot of cool stuff coming, that is for sure. Going to be a very expensive month. How about you, though? What are you excited for? Are your wallets weeping like mine? Are you going to K-pop shows at Wrigley Field? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, of course. And then don't forget YouTube channel memberships and the Patreon. Your best way to support the channel, but you get so much early access, you get so much stuff, it'll make your head spin. Appreciate the support over there. My podcast, talked about it every single Tuesday wherever podcasts are found. It is The Kyle Peterson Show, the complete guide to the ECW original San Francisco toy makers. A lot of people picking up copies from me. I just have a couple of left of a hardcover and softcover. Hit me up if you're interested, or head to Amazon and Barnes & Noble if you want to as well. SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com. And you know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into another weekend.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?